Screens flickered with pixels and avatars battled in virtual arenas. Humans played. Picture this: a dusty desert floor, somewhere in the cradle of civilization. Two figures crouch across from each other. Between them lies a game, simple carved lines etched into stone, and small tokens made of bone or clay. There's no flashing lights, no soundtracks, no global leaderboards, but there's tension, strategy, triumph, and loss. Because even 5,000 years ago, we were gamers. Games weren't invented. They evolved quietly, universally alongside humanity itself. They weren't just entertainment, they were ritual, education, diplomacy, even survival. They mirrored our world, sometimes more honestly than we dared to see it. Take the royal game of Ur. Buried with Mesopotamian kings over 4,500 years ago, this intricate board game was more than pastime. It was believed to guide the soul into the afterlife. Imagine playing a game where every move could mean spiritual failure or eternal reward. Archaeologists unearthed this game in the 1920s, but it wasn't until the British Museum had it deciphered by game expert Irving Finkel that we realized the rules were still readable and the game was still playable. 4 millennia later, we could still challenge a king. Move west and you find Egypt's Senate, a game painted on the tomb walls of pharaohs. The Egyptians believed the gods played Senate against death itself. To win was to live forever. In a world without apps or consoles, these games weren't just escapes. They were cosmic battles. And we played with the same intensity. Across the ocean, the Maya were playing Poc to Poc, a deadly ball game that blended sport, war, and sacrifice. Teams battled with a 5-pound rubber ball, trying to pass it through stone hoops high above their heads, using only their hips. Some matches ended in death, others in glory. Winners were honored, sometimes mythologized. Losers, sometimes executed. It was game, as fate. Then came chess. Born in India as chaturanga, this elegant battlefield spread like wildfire, reaching Persia, the Islamic world, and eventually Europe. Every region reshaped the game. The vizier became the queen. Elephants became bishops. And by the Middle Ages, chess was the language of kings and courtiers. It was about power, strategy, patience, but it was also propaganda. In a game where the king is helpless and the queen is the most powerful force, monarchies taught lessons in governance, in war, in control. As society modernized, games followed suit. In the 19th century, amid the Industrial Revolution, games became commercialized. They were printed, boxed, sold. Think of Monopoly, but before it was a celebration of capitalism, it was a warning against it. The original version, created by Lizzie Meiji in 1903, was called The Landlord's Game. It was designed to teach players the dangers of unchecked property hoarding and economic injustice. It was co-opted, rebranded, and repackaged into the very thing it tried to satirize. But something happened in the 20th century that changed everything. Electricity. Suddenly, games weren't bound to cardboard or dice. In 1947, the cathode ray tube amusement device was patented, a missile simulator using radar screen technology. It's primitive by modern standards, but it opened a new portal. Games could now exist in light and code. Then came 1958. In a Long Island laboratory, physicist William Higginbotham created tennis for two on an oscilloscope. It was simple. A glowing ball bounced over a vertical line. But for the first time, players controlled electronic movement. The screen had become a playground. By 1972, the revolution was undeniable. Pong, the brainchild of Atari, bounced into arcades, bars, and eventually homes. Suddenly, play was no longer physical or even imaginative. It was digital. People weren't just playing games, they were playing technology. Video games exploded. Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, they weren't just arcade hits, they were cultural earthquakes. Kids lined up with quarters. Parents panicked. Politicians debated. But for players, it was magic. In just a few decades, we'd gone from pebbles on a board to fighting pixelated ghosts in haunted mazes. The 1980s and 90s were a golden era. Consoles like the NES, Sega Genesis, and PlayStation turned living rooms into battlegrounds, dreamscapes, and science labs. Mario wasn't just a plumber, he was an icon, a hero, a cultural ambassador. Games like The Legend of Zelda taught exploration and consequence. Final Fantasy spun entire worlds from memory chips and symphonic soundtracks. And then, the internet. Multiplayer games, once limited to whoever could sit beside you, now spanned continents. MMOs like World of Warcraft birthed digital societies. Millions of people all living in the same virtual universe, slaying dragons, building guilds, falling in love. It was no longer just a game. It was life. The line blurred further with mobile gaming. Suddenly your phone, a device once meant for calls, was a portal to entire worlds. Angry Birds, Candy Crush, Clash of Clans, each a microcosm of obsession, precision, and dopamine. And behind every tap, a global industry worth billions. But even as graphics improved, as realism approached the uncanny valley, something ancient remained. The thrill of the challenge, the joy of victory, the sting of defeat. Whether you're flinging birds at pigs or commanding interstellar fleets, you're still engaging the same instincts that once drove warriors to play Senet or Mayan athletes to risk everything in the ball courts. Today, games are more than entertainment. They're art, sport, politics, education. Esports fill stadiums. Streamers draw millions of viewers. Virtual reality immerses us in worlds indistinguishable from dreams. And AI? It plays against us and learns. Yet for all the advancements, the essence hasn't changed. We play to compete. We play to connect. We play to understand. We play because we are human. From sticks to silicon. From bones to buttons. From tribal chants to cinematic scores. Games are the thread that ties our past to our future. They tell us who we are, and sometimes who we wish we could be. So the next time you load up your favorite game, remember, you're not just playing for fun. You're continuing a legacy thousands of years in the making. One that began on a dusty floor with a simple challenge and a deep instinctual need to play. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more exciting videos from Histomark, where history is right on the mark.